Anyway, well, thank you all for coming this evening. My name is Paul Lowe. I'm the planner for the City of Athens. If you don't know who I am, I think I know most of the people in this room. This is the first public meeting we've had in several months on the update of the city's comprehensive plan. Tonight's topic, we will be discussing arts, culture, and history. Just real quick, as a few housekeeping before we get started. There's some coffee and tea and water in the back, courtesy of Arts West. Thank you very much, Emily, and her staff. If anybody needs to use a restroom, there is a accessible restroom through this door, and then there's also men's and women's rooms in the basement, out those back steps there, or the front steps, depending on how you want to look at the room. And I hope we'll have a great conversation this evening. We have 6 really good speakers. We were trying to ask them to each speak for about 5 or 6 minutes so that we can keep it moving. And then once our speakers are done, we will have an opportunity for question and answer. It looks like we have a small enough crowd that we could probably do it just by raising hands. We do have materials in the back. I think most people have them, but if not, raise your hand and I can get it to you. There's also a sign-in sheet over on this table. If you have not signed it, please do so as we leave. It's really important for me to know who came to the meetings and how many people. And just as a reminder or to point out, we are live streaming this on the City of Athens Facebook page right now, and it also is being recorded. So it will be available on the city's YouTube, streaming video, and Facebook pages for people who were unable to attend this evening. And one last plug, if you are not burned out on comprehensive planning, after tonight's meeting, we do have a follow-up meeting or a second meeting next Thursday evening on the topic of the environment, energy, and sustainability. That will be at the Athens Community Center, Room A, same time, 6:30 to 8. And if you are not on our comprehensive plan email update list, please let me know that, or I'll just assume that if you sign in that you would like to be added if you're not already on there. And with that all being said, thank you again for coming. And I will introduce our first speaker this evening. She is Emily Beveridge. She is the program coordinator, program specialist in this beautiful building, Arts West, which if you've not been in this room before, I hope you enjoy the atmosphere in here. There's been a lot of investments that have come into this room. Emily has been a true leader at Arts West, and I think we've got a really great space here. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. Can you guys hear me well? Yeah. Okay, great. I'm also the sound tech tonight, so I can't do that and speak at the same time, so hopefully it sounds good. So I'm going to begin with a little bit of history about Arts West. The creation history of Arts West began with the acquisition of the Nazarene Church in 2005 for use as a performing arts center. Over its 13-year history, Arts West has provided arts education opportunities, development assistance to area arts organizations, including the Athens Photo Project, the Athens Art Guild, AFCO Women's Art Guild, SATB Choir, PRISM After School Program, and Athens Rock Camp for Girls. Our mission statement: Arts West is part of the City of Athens Arts, Parks, and Recreation Department. Our mission is to make facilities, resources, and opportunities available to arts organizations, individual artists, and community residents. We harness community focus for all individuals engaged in the creation, performance, and exhibition of the arts while promoting activities preserving the beauty, heritage, and the culture of our town. Arts West strives to provide premier facilities, instructors, programming, and technical equipment for the performing and visual arts in our community. And something about Arts West that a lot of people don't know is we are tax funded. We are one of the few cities of our size in the state that actually has government funding arts, so we should be very proud of that. Oh, there we go. A little bit about our facility. In 2005, during its founding year, Arts West stage was built and the lighting and sound equipment were installed. Originally, the church pews were left for seating, and some of you probably remember that time, and carpet covered the floors in the performance space, which is the space that we're in right now. The carpet was pink. It was, I believe, chosen in the 80s or the 90s, so, you know, hey, it was part of that time period. But then in 2013, the performance space received a refurbishment, which included refinishing the hardwood floors, which you see right now. The floors actually were salvaged from a former women's gym at the campus of Ohio University. A lot of people like to hear about that. And the installation of a new gallery system, including the gallery lights. It's kind of cool to describe something that's right in the same room with you guys. You can just see it. Okay. Moving on to events. This actually is an event that happened about 2 or 3 days ago. This was the closing event for the Athens Film Festival. It was a noise show we held in this space. So as far as events are concerned, Arts West hosts many events throughout the year, with the space being utilized almost every day. Highlights include the graduate reading series Moon Tunnel, several new play readings, as well as a full play production most years, monthly contra and square dances, the SATB Spring and Winter Concert, the Athens County Community Singers Holiday Concert and Patriotic Concert, Calliope Spring Concert, Athens Jazz Fest, the Do-It-Yourself Shop, Wine, Meat, and Venison Competition, Homebrew Competition, Holiday Craft Swap, and monthly art openings. In 2017, Arts West held the highest attended event in the history of the facility, and that was the Ohio Brew Week Oktoberfest, which had 700 people attend it. Go back. And then total attendance for all events in 2017 was nearly 15,000 people. Currently, Arts West is organizing the 5th annual Athens Area Fiber Fair. Attendance at the Fiber Fair number around 500 people each year. It occurs annually the final weekend in September. In 2017, Arts West offered our classes at the fair tuition-free for the first time. And in 2018, we hope to offer even more classes, which will be completely free, including materials for the first time. Programming. For many years, Arts West has hosted 2 arts-based youth summer camps, Ohio Valley Summer Theater and Girls Rock Camp. Starting in 2018, Arts West began providing space for the new PRISM LGBTQ+ Youth After School program, which is an enriching arts-based program for middle and high school age students. I keep wanting to do that. As far as our volunteers are concerned, we utilize hundreds of volunteers each year, both from Ohio University and the Athens community. Volunteers help with setting up events, improving the space, and with fundraisers. Our Cat's Pajamas clothing exchange event, which you can see, this is one of our volunteers for that event. We're going through the clothes right there. Occurs in March and November of each year and utilizes roughly 75 volunteer shifts of 3 hours apiece. So you can do the math. It takes a lot of effort to put that on. We currently work with 4 Ohio University work study during the year, which are placed at Arts West through the Campus Involvement Center. Fundraising. Currently, besides the Cat's Pajamas clothing exchange event, Arts West is working to develop new fundraising events. In May, Arts West will present its first ever Geek Week movie series, which is in partnership with the Athena Cinema. The series will feature 6 movies, and all proceeds from the ticket sales will benefit Arts West. Other fundraising events will occur this year by working with the Ohio University School of Art to produce a large art auction in December for the first time. And we also will be partnering with Devil's Kettle and Casa Nueva for a tip sponsorship from both of those facilities. Community engagement. This is a detail of the mural that's on the retaining wall outside of our facility, and that was painted in 2016 by one of my current staff members, Jolena Hansbarger, and many community members. Starting in June of 2018, Arts West, along with the Athens Historical Society, Casa Nueva, and Passion Works will be combining forces to produce the first ever State Street Art Walk. The walk will occur the first Thursday of every month and will go from 5:30 to 8:30 and will feature new art displays, activity, food, and surprises each month. So that is very much in its infancy, but we're excited to get that off the ground. All right. Arts West is currently working on developing a musical lending library which will offer musical instruments to the public for a low fee or through Arts West membership. Arts West has been invited to provide musical instruments through the library at the next Nelsonville Music Festival in the children's area. We are currently scheduled to be the tip proceed recipient for the month of June at Casa Nueva to fund the library. And now for facility future. We are very, very close to basement renovations. Those are probably going to begin in the month of May. Upgrades will include an upgraded kitchen, a movement room with mirrors and a dance bar, new flooring, remodeled bathrooms, and new paint. So we're very excited about that. Hopefully the basement will look as lovely as the upstairs of the facility currently does. And then moving forward, I am very interested in continuing to make the facility read more as an arts center, including hopefully more mural opportunities, new signage, new landscaping. We need a new roof, and I'm hoping to have solar panels installed during that time. So moving forward, I'm really excited about all the different things we're going to do. All right, thank you so much. I hope that was 5 minutes.
Professional photographer. You are an instructor in the media arts program.
I teach in the School of Visual Communication at OU. Teach photography and video storytelling. Yep.
And you are a member of the Athens Municipal Arts Commission, which Josh will be talking about. You are published. You've got a few books, I believe.
One book, yep.
One book. Really good. And Josh can take it from there.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Josh. Nice to meet you. I'm a member of the Athens Municipal Arts Commission. AMAC is how it will be known from here on out. And I want to tell you about what AMAC does because I don't think everybody knows. And I think it's important that there's transparency to this process. And it's important so some of you can get involved if you want to get involved with community arts here in Athens. The purpose of AMAC is to make recommendations to the mayor, city council, and the community in order to enhance the existing cultural resources of the area, to encourage new opportunities for the creation, performance, and exhibitions of all the arts, and to promote policies and activities that preserve the beauty, history, and culture of the region. And I think this mission statement really aligns with the guiding principles for the comprehensive plan. And let me tell you how that kind of manifests, but let's go into details about what the commission is made of. We've got 7 members. 5 are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by city council. 1 is the city council representative, that's Kent right here, and 1 member is the mayor or his designee. And each member of the council brings something different, a different experience. They play a different role in the community. They work with different type of arts, and so we try to keep it diverse in that sense. All right, the most important thing, all AMAC meetings are open to the public. You're welcome to attend. They are normally scheduled for the second Wednesday of the month at 5:30 in the Arts West conference room right over here. Sometimes we're in the basement if you can't find us. You're welcome to attend. Please attend. We love attendees. All other people in the community often attend as well. Paige Alos from the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Paul Loeb, Andrew Chicky, and Emily Beveridge attend frequently and offer their perspective and guidance. And if you want something on the agenda, please give it to us in advance. Some examples of things that AMAC has done. The Art Outside the Box project. How many of you have seen this? Awesome. No explanation needed. Other than we put out the RFP. We sent out an RFP that said, hey, send in proposals, send in your work, and we'll pick a few to put on these traffic boxes to make them less ugly and exhibit great community artwork from a variety of artists. To date, we've had 2 RFPs. We've put up, is it 10 per RFP? So we have 20 total?
It's
10. So we have 20 total. We're working on implementing or putting up the second batch of 10 this year. It'll be sometime this year. And we're going to do, I believe, a third RFP after that. The stickers are put up for the second batch. We also implemented the Poet Laureate program. This is our most recently appointed Poet Laureate, Carrie Gunter Seymour. This is the poster for her event, which is to be held here at Arts West on April 26th at 7 p.m. if you want to attend. She did this poster herself. She's wonderful if you don't know her. We've had a role in the Athens Photo Project's parking garage installation, which is coming up. And forgive me, Nate, this is an early rendering of the project. It has gone through many iterations, and you will see that when Nate presents later. But Nate came to the AMAC and presented his idea and took our feedback and worked with City Council and had public forums, and AMAC was able to facilitate that process. This mural that Emily mentioned, that Jolena Hansbarger has done, she worked with AMAC, and Carol Patterson, our chair, was very supportive. She went to City Council, and she worked with Arts West as well. So we are part of a process that helps arts and arts projects become implemented in the community. So that process, just a quick note that we are not a funding or a granting organization. We have no formal budget or authority to commission or purchase work, but we do welcome proposals from artists, public and government sources, and we form ad hoc committees that is made up of artists, citizens, and AMAC members who make recommendations to the City Council and its administration. Future ideas. An Athens Community Arts Festival is coming up. We're going to have the Athens Art Guild and some music performances, as well as some art openings on Union Street area in August of 2018. The mayor is working on a sculpture gardens project. The first one is the area between the dollar store and the armory, and that's still in the works. An art bench project. Donna Goodman with the Athens Conservancy came to us with an idea, and we have helped her develop that idea and make it come to fruition. So there's going to be a bench, a very artistically designed metal bench, a series of benches along the bike path. We're working on creating a public art inventory so that there is a huge list of all the artworks and who created them and when they were made here in Athens, so it can be a resource for researchers and other artists. We're thinking about First Friday Art Walks, a community piano that's painted and can be dragged out in the day and anyone can play it, and then at night or when it rains it'll be put away. And then we're thinking about utilizing the alleyways. They seem to be low-hanging fruit. We have tons of great alleyways, but there's nothing there. And there's so much space that could be utilized for things hanging between the walls, on the walls, walks, gallery walks through the walls, music playing. There's just a lot that could be done there. And we're also looking at how can we make art in this community interactive. All right. How to get involved. Submit your work to our RFPs. We publicize them through various outlets. You're welcome to submit your work. Our minutes from our meetings are published online here and on the city website. You can attend our meetings, propose projects, and share ideas. And of course, you can email us or our chair, Carol Patterson. All right. Thank you very much.
Nate is the executive director of the Athens Photographic Project, and he can take it from there. Thank you, Nate.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Paul. And I noticed in your email to all of us about the presentations, you wanted a black background, a recommended black background with white text, and I saw, Josh, you nailed that.
Good with detail.
Yeah, I'm going to be nowhere close to that. So, how many of you are familiar with the Athens Photo Project? Show of hands. Okay, and determine whether you get the 5 or 6 minute presentation. So that's going to be the 6 minute. So in our community in Athens, for nearly 20 years, community members living with mental illness have been using the arts as a form of self-expression in their journey in mental health recovery. And specifically, they've been doing this with the support of the Athens Photo Project, who's had the support of our local mental health board, the university, behavioral health providers, many artists for 20 years, getting behind our program. Foundations, civic organizations, mentioned Arts West had hosted us for a while, the Dairy Barn has hosted us for a while, and I share that to start because this is very uncommon to have this integration of the arts with behavioral health or with mental health recovery. So I'll share a couple, like a 5-minute highlight of maybe why that's happening here, what were the kind of conditions that fostered it, and where we headed with that relationship between the arts and mental health. So the program began in, as I mentioned, close to 20 years ago. It was founded by Elise Sanford, who recently passed away. And Elise has a son who's living with mental illness and is a photographer trained through the university. And she witnessed the deinstitutionalization process here in our community when after the old psychiatric hospital closed and there were many services that were promised in the community, but there weren't the resources to support all those services and to ensure that individuals living with mental illness had a high quality of life. So as a photographer and a mother, Elise thought what she could do is offer her services to help in some way fill a gap. And a gap that was really resulting in individuals feeling marginalized, undervalued, and really overshadowed by low self-worth, and not feeling a part of the community as they should, right? So from firsthand experience and working with the local advocacy organization, NAMI Athens, National Alliance on Mental Illness, Elise and her peers realized that many individuals in our community were lacking engagement, lacking a good daily routine, being able to contribute to the community, which is resulting in a lot of sole dependence on behavioral health care, but really not having the support to change that condition. So Elise kind of had this insight to bring the community arts into that relationship to fill that gap. The community arts are something that we know about through Arts West and Dairy Barn and other institutions in our community where they're intended to be accessible, collaborative, value social learning, and value skill building, and are growth-oriented. And over the years, the projects really recognized that those values that are inherent and assets that are inherent to community arts really overlap with the mental health recovery model, which is about rebuilding a meaningful and fulfilling life in the community. So as that relationship kind of extended, we have often got the question, well, why photography? And if you look at kind of the social factors that Elise was responding to when she began the program, it was really issues of isolation. And issues of people feeling like their perspective didn't matter. So photography was just a natural way, without being therapy, that folks could, at their own pace, kind of re-engage with the community and explore their inner world. Well, I shouldn't say explore their inner world, reflect their inner world that otherwise was really going unnoticed by many. So a couple real quick quotes that I'd like to share, if I'm not, how close am I to my 5 minutes? All right. So one of our artists, Sandy Frazier, says about her work and her experience with APP, I'm inspired to create photographs that both explore my Appalachian culture and reflect on my past. My photography is an effort to understand both myself and the world I live in. It has helped me to see the world as something bigger than myself and my problems. Chris Leonard writes, to render the mundane as fantastic and the fantastic as mundane gives us a fresh second look at the world. And one more, my favorite aspect of photography is when I am able to quiet my mind and become one with myself and my surroundings. Be fully present in the moment. The beauty of nature begins to reveal itself and my worries fade away. So these are all quotes that I think any artist may share. And that's really the point of our project, is we're providing all of the resources and support needed for participants in our program to develop the same skills that any artist can develop, right? We provide camera equipment, supplies, all at no cost because of sponsorship of our partners. It's a unique community-based model because we offer introductory and advanced level classes, and folks can stay involved in our project as long as it's relevant to their recovery. And what that results in is a lot of artwork being created. We have a 30-week class model where classes meet 2 days a week for 2 hours. So there's 120 group hours where artists are together talking about their work just like they would in any art class. We have art history, art critique, etc. And they're creating work outside of class. So all of that energy we have to put somewhere. And where we put it is into the community. And we have annual exhibitions. This is a recent exhibition at the Dairy Barn. We design exhibitions to reach areas that are non-traditional art venues. This is a project we did where we created artwork for Appalachian behavioral health care. We created a lending library for the individual hospital rooms at Appalachian behavioral health care, so that folks that were there had a choice in what artwork they brought into their rooms, their bedrooms. We created an installation at the Market on State that rotates about twice a year. Some of you have probably seen this. And most recently, we've been partnering with the city to design an installation for East Washington Street for the exterior ground level of the parking garage. This is something that Josh was the instructor for, and it's a big project. So we had the art making as a part of it, but then there's the designing of the installation and working with the city and with Hilferty and Associates and the university to have a representation of the artist's work that really is about their artwork first. So that's coming up. We'll have the installation happen this summer, and we're hoping to tie that in with the summer, the August community arts event that Josh was mentioning. And I think that was 5 or 6 minutes.
Thank you, Dan. Our next is Cyrus Moore. Cyrus is a member of Ohio History Corps, the Southeast Ohio History Center, and he serves the city on our Historic Preservation Commission. Thank you, Cyrus.
Thank you, Paul. I drank a large coffee, so hopefully I'm going to speak quickly and get through my 5 minutes. So we are the Southeast Ohio History Center. We, until very recently, were the Athens County Historical Society and Museum. So the two institutions are the same thing. Sometimes we get people donating artifacts that say, if we don't accept it, please send it to the Athens County Historical Society and Museum. But it's a transitional period. We're working through it. The most noticeable difference in the organization, aside from the name, is the new building. We are very proud of our new building. We had the opportunity to buy, renovate, and in the process preserve a historic building, and that is the former, well, actually still on Sundays, First Christian Church. And it was built in 1916, opened in 1917, and 100 years later to the day from its first Sunday service, we opened as the Southeast Ohio History Center. There's a picture of it being built, and then as it stood in 1917. The mission of the Southeast Ohio History Center is to collect, preserve, and share Southeast Ohio's unique cultural and natural heritage. We needed to expand, well, we didn't need to, we wanted to expand our vision to include more than just Athens County, because all of the counties in Southeast Ohio are related, and as our director Tom O'Grady likes to say, Ohio began here and then expanded to the rest of the current state. Our mission is to be, our vision is to be a champion of cultural heritage in Southeast Ohio, and we have some objectives to help us accomplish this vision. We're working through all of this right now. We're still very new to this regional view, but we get a lot of positive feedback. Tom and I have been visiting historical societies and smaller museums in the area and telling them that we're here to help. We are here to promote you and assist in any way we possibly can. We reach out to these organizations and help them in any way we can so that we can preserve the stories of this area. Stories like the agriculture that played such a key role in the development of this area. Industry, like coal, extractive industries that everyone knows a lot about or sees that everyone sees quite the remnants of quite often, but doesn't always know a whole lot about. So we want to preserve those stories. Also, the transportation, and I like this picture because it's a steel-constructed bridge. You don't see a lot of those anymore, and it's actually made in Massillon. On the full picture, you can see it says the Massillon Bridge Company. Even though Massillon's not Southeast Ohio, it just shows how interconnected all of Ohio really is. And then there are buildings like the Armory, which, shameless plug, on May 19th, we're dedicating a historic marker for, so come see it. Not only do we champion the preservation of buildings, but we lend our support whenever we can to things like raising awareness of the historical nature of the building. But we're interested in more recent history too. I like this picture because even though this was not that long ago, probably about early 1980s, all of that has changed. That's on Union Street where the roundabout is. And we're really making a push now to preserve more of the recent history that people don't always think of as history because they remember it. And then we do things like, Tom asked specifically that I include this, but we do things like preserve the stories of individuals who were important in Southeast Ohio. Does this thing have a laser pointer on it? Yeah. Anyway, this says W.E. Peters. William E. Peters has his name on more tombstones in Athens County than probably anyone, or anyone should. He had 2 successful careers as a surveyor and as a lawyer, and then he went bankrupt, lived in a garage in the plains at the end of his 90-some years because he spent all of his time and money doing things like this, preserving the history of this region. And we want to carry on that legacy. The Southeast Ohio History Center wants to partner with organizations to help preserve history. I know some of the organizations here we are working with in various ways, and we want to do more of that. We want to be a community asset. We want to be available to offer a short history of a building or something like that. But to do that, we need community input too. When people come across interesting old pictures or articles or something that stands out to them, please come to us. Please share that with us. That way we can help share it with the greater community. We put on exhibits that help tell the story of the region. These exhibits are up right now. One is about the Athens Asylum, so please come see that. The other one is about Southeast Ohio in the First World War, and we have uniforms from soldiers from 5 different counties on display right now. Become a member of the Southeast Ohio History Center. A lot of our operations come from memberships and donations, and we are in the middle of the capital campaign. So I think that should just about cover it. Thank you.
We have 2 more presentations. The next to give us a presentation is the always delightful Patty Mitchell. I think everybody probably knows Patty. She is to blame for a lot of things in Athens, including Passion Works, and of course the Honey for the Heart Parade that kicks off the big Halloween celebration and has helped to change the tone of Halloween. And Patty really needs no introduction, so I will stop there.
Thank you, Paul. That's really sweet. Yeah, I feel so lucky to have chosen Athens as my hometown. Now, back in the day, my dad worked at McBee, and my mom was the health nurse here in Athens, Ohio. And I had 2 brothers born at Sheltering Arms, and I've just been drawn with the stories that my parents used to tell. I grew up in New England and then came back here. And so this I really do feel is my place, and I'm pleased to be here. So I was asked to talk about Passion Works and what it is, and we embrace the concept of Passion Works being a collaborative community art space. And we are located right uptown behind the gas station across from Domino's and next to Zoe's, 20 East State. And Our whole point is to inspire and liberate the human spirit through the arts. And it's what the arts do. So we're just tagging on with the arts and riding it to the point where seeing where it's going to take us. We believe deeply that people, we all need connection and purpose to thrive. And so we have created a space to invite the community in and investigate materials, talk to each other, share ideas, and see what happens. It comes to be that our core group of individuals experience developmental differences. And they're a core group of people who are imaginative and fabulous. And you know, whatever you do in this world, there is a little bit of you in it. It's okay to be a little selfish and go where you're directed. I want to hang out in this space with these guys making stuff. That's my choice. And I will do anything on this planet to make that happen. Because we have a blast, and these artists are absolutely genius in the way that they approach the world, and in turn, the work that they make. So we encourage connection and purpose through the making of together and creating community in which we want to live. So we're highly dedicated to inviting students. We're so lucky. We are uptown, and that's by design. Often people who are seen as on the outside of community or with difference, their programming is often at the outskirts or hidden from typical community. And we are uptown and convenient and embracing the student population. Because as we all need connection and purpose to thrive, young students need connection and purpose to thrive. They need a place to feel comfortable, welcomed. Stress is through the roof for students. And so we say, look, come in, this is your clubhouse. And come in and work with us. And so you get to hang out with Noah Hogan, and which is like, what's better than that? And if you don't know, come in and you'll find out. But we have all these young art students working with us, making projects. And I was asked today, it's like, do you sleep? And it's like, we have so many hands involved in our work that we just generate tons of art. It is unbelievable. It's an art factory. It really is. We're the Warhol disciples. So we respond to our community and what's needed. This was a project where the sexual assault outreach program came to us and asked if we could collaborate. We're like, heck yeah, this is a community space. And for 6 weeks, every Wednesday night, we made stuff. And we're turning the town teal on the 22nd. And through that process, we had new volunteers come in, new energy, a new mission, and that was to create a presence and to bring forward the love and the healing and support for each other. And when we made the art together, we didn't talk about the events that brought people to the place. We talked about pink and glitter and how beautiful other people's work was, and we bonded, and it was gorgeous. And through that process, we started making giant flowers, which are now hanging at Casa. They're going to be at the Nelsonville Music Festival. And so now we have this whole new thing to share with the community that came from us. We didn't read it in a book, we were just figuring stuff out. So we investigate materials, we problem solve, we have fun, and then we make stuff to enhance where we live. So that was last night, that's why I can't talk. That was last night at the gala at Ohio University Leadership Gala with Noah Hogan in the photo booth with some of the flowers. So we are a making space dedicated to low tech and high magic. We repurpose materials, paper, cardboard, paint, whatever we find, and we reimagine it together. So it keeps our costs down, but really it encourages us to be creative and respond to what we're working with. And whenever we work with a material that has been generated from Athens, it is a story about Athens. Like the passion flowers you may be familiar with, those are made from recycled printing plates from the Athens Messenger. So right at the base of everything that we do, it comes back to Athens. And we have tons of students. We can host 50 students along with our artists in our space. We have cleared it out, and we are seriously dedicated to making. If we have music, we move the tables. If we have meditation, yoga, whatever it is, the space responds to what the humans in there want to do. And we also are opening it up in the evening for people to come in and make things. So these are some pieces from the flower, and we're obsessed with flowers. We just are. And, you know, and it's been just such a great thing that the more you do something and the more familiar it is, it becomes part of a place. And so we have the official flower of Athens, Ohio, and our government and the entities have always, like, we've always tried to go over the top at least once. It's like, we can't get there because the community just keeps embracing it. It's like, it's awesome. So we are doing parades, Nelsonville Music Festival, and we see things, again, we want to create the community in which we want to live. And so Halloween, love it. Love Halloween. But it was on a spiral that, you know, if something goes feral or isn't loved, it can take a downward. So we wanted to elevate it, and we pitched it to the university and said, hey, what if we changed the narrative and brought the arts in and started Halloween early? And they said yes. And so in our 7th year of having a month-long community residency where we make giant puppets, and now the puppets were on the cover of the Visitors Bureau talking about Halloween, which before it was like, no, it doesn't happen. Never mind, look the other way. We're saying, we're here. We have a puppet museum on Columbus Road, an echoing day program, and at Passion Works in our ceiling, we're building another puppet museum. So from big things to small things, right now we're working on the pumpkin show. I know, right? It's funny because it's us. This is Pumpkin, who's at the voter registration on Court Street, next to the courthouse. So we're working on portraits of all of our leaders and our friends, and we're doing a series there. And we really want Pumpkin to continue to be a star, and bring people to Athens, Ohio. So what's different about our program is, so what I do is, I've been like obsessed with this for a long time, and then going out into the world and sharing this model. And I've been able to work all over the world in domestic violence shelters, extended care, prisons, mental health facilities, and it's all the same thing. Everybody needs connection and purpose to thrive. And if we spend time with each other, and we listen, and we respond, we're better. So what's different now about Passion Works is that there are 2 agencies and organizations in the same space. What I've learned is, if you're taking care of people, and you have all the responsibility of transportation and medication, all these things, you can't focus on the arts fully, because everything else will trump you, because you have to take care of the human physicality and emotional needs. So what we have at Passion Works is Creative Foundations. This lovely organization takes care of transportations and all the things that I just mentioned. And Passion Works is its own nonprofit. We just think about the arts. And we funnel projects and programs into the building so that the people who are providing care don't have to have 50 meetings a week, even though I know they would love to because it's fun hanging out. But we bring it in, I take care of the materials and the ideas and the and then they do what they will with it. So we are now an international training center in this model. We want to put Athens, Ohio on the map for all the things that we've talked about today. Instead of going out into the world, have the world come to us. And so they can enjoy the Athens Photographic Project, go to the History Museum, go to the Dairy Barn, come here, and just see how a healthy community thrives. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. We have one final speaker before we go into our question and answer. Our final speaker is Dr. Matthew Shaftel. He is the Dean of the College of Fine Arts at Ohio University. He had a very busy schedule today. He was able to come back from a meeting in Columbus for this presentation, and unfortunately for him, but he does have to go back to Columbus either this evening or very early tomorrow morning, so I really appreciate him coming this evening. I had a chance to talk with him a few weeks ago. I felt really good about how he views the College of Fine Arts and their role in the community. So with that, thank you, Dr. Sheff.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the invitation to be here. This is really so important. I have to start with just a little bit about my personal story. I'm in my freshman year at Ohio University as the Dean of the College of Fine Arts. And exactly 12 months ago, I drove into town in the dark, so I couldn't see anything, entered my hotel room at the OUN and found a passion flower on my pillow. And that was the beginning of the love story. But don't tell my wife. No, truly, what made me fall in love with Athens and the College of Fine Arts here at Ohio University is really our #1 value statement. We believe that the arts have the transformative power on society and on individual lives. That means that when we say that we offer the #1 transformative learning experience in the country, we do so by making sure that our artists, our young artists, go out and are prepared to transform their community. And by doing so, they are transformed themselves. What does that look like over the last many years? Well, the college was founded in the 1930s, but the School of Music is celebrating its 101st birthday this year. And yet the arts have been a part of Ohio University for even longer than that. Just to give you a sense of what kind of success our alumni have had, graduating from top 25 programs in the nation in almost every artistic discipline, which is pretty amazing for a little town in Ohio. 90% of our alumni in a survey we did this fall reported that they were prepared for success in the 21st century by their Ohio University education, and 70% of the College of Fine Arts alumni report that they are still employed in the field for which they studied. That's an extraordinary number. Maybe you don't recognize what that really means, but there's this little school right in downtown New York City, starts with a J, I can't remember the rest of the name, but they did the same survey and it was 42%. So something about this community makes for very, very good artists who understand how to connect to their world in a unique and special way. This is a little boring, so I'm going to just fast forward to the pictures. But we have 3 schools and 3 divisions: music, interdisciplinary arts, art and design, dance, film, and theater. And as I said, each and every one of these programs has a top 25 ranked program in the nation. So for instance, you may well know that our ceramics program is ranked #3 in the country. Our printmaking program is ranked #10, but we also have the #15 music therapy program in the country. So we provide nearly 500 hours of free service to the community in a growing and very important discipline. What you might not know is that we have all kinds of other intersections with our community, and we're very proud of these connections. So for instance, you may know the Athena Cinema, the Kennedy Museum of Art, the Athens Community Music School, the Athens International Film and Video Festival, the Marching 110, and of course we have our professional Tantrum Theater, which is in Dublin. So we have a number of other ways that we intersect with the community. The Kennedy Museum of Art, just for instance, receives visitors from 8 different Appalachian counties. Every year, thousands and thousands of school children come and experience our museums. So what about the future? So here's really where the rubber hits the road. I have met with as many of you as I possibly can in the short 8 months that I've been here, and those of you who I haven't met, I can't wait to talk to you and find out more and engage with you. We really believe that our role in this community is still developing. We would like to be engaging with each and every one of you and help to provide the resources to connect one another. We just believe in connection. I also personally believe that we have an army of young artists sitting over there in the College of Fine Arts. We have almost 1,000 undergraduate and graduate students, all of whom need this transformational experience, and we hope that they will be engaging with you in order to have that transformational experience. So there's a number of ways that we can create these robust partnerships, but I want to start really with a brand new initiative. We opened a new Center for the Arts, Wellness, and Outreach. We hired the new director, Sam Dodd, at the end of January. It will be on the agenda for the Board of Trustees to approve in June. And the goal of this center is really to build as many coalitions as possible, to build an arts cultural coalition here in this community, and to work with each of you to augment what you're doing, to support what you're doing, to create partnerships, grant opportunities, so that we can really take advantage of all the great work that each and every one of you is already doing and make sure that our students are involved so that they have a model for what does it mean to be a successful rural community that understands who it is and how culture and the arts play an important role, not just in building a sense of self and community, but also in terms of wellness and in terms of economic growth, and also in terms of our sense of what is the future for the children in our community. So that's related to our work with the schools. We have been offering professional development to the teachers in the public schools here, and our goal is ultimately to create a coalition of teachers and faculty, send them to the Kennedy Center where they offer incredible training programs in arts integration. The research about arts integration in the classroom is extraordinary. It leads to significant improvements in school completion, growth in ACT scores, college preparedness. It is one of the key pathways out of poverty. So we are very, very excited to support all of these different ways that we can engage with the community. We've entered into another agreement, a health and wellness alliance with the College of Health Sciences, the College of Medicine, and actually the same two colleges at the University of Toledo to build community health and public health solutions. So when you're thinking about the opioid crisis or how do you manage diabetes, we as artists know a whole heck of a lot about how do we engage communities, how do we listen to communities, how do we build a collective impact model that starts from the community and works through all the way up to the larger public health system. So there's a lot to be done. Again, I'm only at the end of my, I guess about 9 months now, and so I appreciate the opportunities to get to know each and every one of you, and I look forward to working together. Thanks so much.
Okay, let's see, we've got 6 speakers. I think one of them, if he hasn't left already, has to leave, Cyrus. But I would ask the 5 speakers, we're going to do a panel discussion and question and answer. We'll get 5 chairs up on stage. We had asked people to write down questions, but I think we have a small enough crowd, maybe we can just ask a few questions of our panel and we can get going from there. If anybody needs coffee or water or anything, it is in the back. If you need to use the restroom, it's available too. And we can get started. I'll start with a question really quick here to get everybody started. And then I also had a comment that kind of struck me as we were talking here. One was, the topic for this evening is art, culture, and history. And when Cyrus was talking, he briefly mentioned the Athens Asylum. And that is so rooted in the history of Athens, but what the asylum did, of course, was it focused on mental health treatment. And what Nate is still doing today in his organization is working on mental health treatment in Athens, Ohio, 150 years later. And the mental health treatment is so ingrained in the culture of Athens that we are still trying to improve on mental health treatment all the way back from 150 years ago. And to me, that's a really interesting and striking thing about Athens, that we are still doing that. Just like Ohio University is still trying to educate people and kind of coming up with new ways to educate students in the state of Ohio. So there's 2 really important things about our culture. My question after that comment is, Patty is also working in therapy and engaging the community and bringing marginalized people into our community. I'm curious about other ideas that the 5 panelists might have as to ways we can expand on that in Athens, and if we're thinking about it from a comprehensive planning standpoint, recommendations and ideas for ways that we can focus on it both as a city but also the community. If anybody has any thoughts. Yes?
Just a quick entry point. It's so obvious to me that Athens is sort of a rural model for artistic approaches to therapies. So we actually have in the works right now master's degrees in art therapy, in physical dance movement therapy, and to go along with our 50-year history of offering music therapy here in town. And I think there's a number of really important intersections we can make there, which could be very interesting.
So, so one of the things that we do at PassionWorks is that, just as an official, I'm not licensed to do anything. I am nothing. I just make stuff. And I choose to make stuff with other people. So we're therapeutic because the arts is therapeutic to anybody who jumps in. And people feel better and they're connected and well. And I think it's a lovely thing that we can investigate community collaborative arts programming and creating intersect within community within these spaces, and have the study of art therapy, and that students and people can choose and to see where they go and to try it out. They don't have to leave Athens to say, you know what, I'd like something a little bit more clinical. I'm going to have to leave. We have it here to study, and but it's all important, and I think it's important for people to find their place and where they fit to be able to facilitate.
Great. Okay. Thank you. I'll make one more question, and then I will open up the floor. Yes.
I think there's more that we can be doing as we consider how do we approach issues of public health. We talk a lot about, in the United States in general, about healthcare through the typical channels where you have a condition, you go to the doctor or the hospital, we address it, and then you have an insurance provider that pays the hospital. But when we talk about population health, it's a much bigger challenge, and there isn't an obvious way that gets supported and funded. So we have really an argument to make, particularly in our role in southeastern Ohio, that public wellness is actually such a critical aspect of our healthcare system. And that's part of what we've been talking about in our healthcare coalition as we work with the College of Medicine, which is, by the way, the largest college of medicine in the state of Ohio, right here in Athens. So we have an opportunity to really think about wellness and what is the future of population health and community wellness, and how does that intersect with the arts. We have deans in the College of Health Sciences and the College of Medicine that are very interested in integrating the arts. So there's so many opportunities moving forward.
You really need a mic in this room. It helps a lot.
If I yell, can everybody hear? Yeah. Glenn, did you have a question?
Sure.
Oh, go ahead. Sure.
Okay. I've participated in, you do not need a mic in this room. I've participated in one of the Arts West Project's activities. I come here and contradance regularly, and we really like the hardwood floor. Thank you. One thing that impresses me as part of that activity is that we have not done a very good job of making a connection with the students. Okay, we have a group of people who are involved in it, and they are conspicuously not that demographic. Now that may be something about contra dancing. Maybe it just doesn't resonate with that demographic group, or it may be something to do with our more general about the connection between arts in the community and the student population. where is the cause of this? And what can we do to make the largest portion of the community of Athens, all 25,000 of them, more part of the community?
I think that's a really good question, and it's something I think about constantly as a program specialist at Arts West. And I think that, I think we're kind of at the beginning of a new phase where I think that as we continue to have more and more arts opportunities here in the town, hopefully that means that more and more students who are looking for that type of community to live in as they come to school will come here. Does that make sense? So that doesn't really answer your question as far as how to get more people to the contra dance who are students. I think a great way to do that would maybe to have a direct conversation with people in the dance division and see if they could actually inform their students. These are some open community dance opportunities that happen outside of the university that you may want to participate in and learn about a new form of dance. I think that would be a really good thing to do. And at Arts West, we are trying to definitely push what we're doing a little bit harder. We definitely post about it on Facebook, the Athens West Side Neighborhood Association Facebook page, put it out in our newsletter, but I think there could even be a stronger connection and more targeted to students at the university who might be interested in that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
So we don't have to reinvent the wheel because the university wants students to be in the community. And so one of the things we can do is find out what those spokes are. And the Office of Community Engagement with Barb, and call her, and the Ohio University Learning Communities with Honey for the Heart, we're at Central Venue. We have 1,200 people show up for that project because we invite them. And it's just knowing, I think it's knowing what the natural roots are and not trying to reinvent them. And students have to have community service hours. They have to be out there in the world doing fun things for different classes. So if you jump into that stream, it'll carry you. And they come. They do. Don't they, Nancy? Nancy knows. She's a Passion Works. Every day we have students coming in, interns and everything else. Yes?
I just wanted to address your question, because I work at ACCO. And we have volunteers from AFIO. There are volunteer organizations at the university, and once you get them going in, and Patty knows that for years, once you get them in, they're going to start coming all the time. They love it. They love being a part of the community. So I think reaching out, like you have done, and we've done as well, through those venues, it's extremely helpful.
And it's breaking that membrane, that first introduction. Yes. So it could be going to the professors or the people who are, and having them come to a contra dance first, and then they feel comfortable, because nobody wants to teach something they're uncomfortable and they don't know.
Absolutely.
So familiarity, invitation, cookies,
food,
pizza,
always food, always
a candy buffet. I think that we're going to experiment with that soon. Yes?
I could speak from the perspective of a faculty member at OU. For a while now, we've had a great relationship in the School of Visual Communication with the Athens Photographic Project. I've made it because I worked for the APP for years, I've made it my personal mission to get students connected with that opportunity to volunteer and become instructors. And eventually that led to us having a series of graduate assistants with the Athens Photographic Project. And we raise awareness about their events through we give all of our students notices, and they come out. They lent my instructional abilities to the Athens Photographic Project for a number of years, so I could teach with APP while still being a full-time faculty member at OU. So I think it's building a partnership with the right people at OU so that they can see that mutual benefit. And from AMAC's perspective, we have had sets of college students come to us with ideas. Most recently, we had 2 individuals come to us with the idea of a fashion show, a kind of expressive fashion show that was meant to kind of metaphorically document the experience of, was it of refugees and sex trafficking. That's right, sex trafficking. And they came to us with the idea and the passion, and they said, what can we do to bring this to OU, to Athens? And so we offered them a venue here at Arts West. We gave them leads for funding that they didn't know about, like Arts for Ohio, for example, which is a great funding organization that really works to build that bridge between the community and Athens and the university through arts initiatives. So I think there are existing people and organizations. We just have to build those relationships.
I just wanted to tell a quick story, if that's all right. So about 3 months ago, we've been giving tours of our buildings to various groups, trying to build some support for an enhancement to those buildings. And one very significant group of supporters came through, and we did a small concert for them, and then we had an artistic display of various works of visual arts done by our students. And one of these influential people from Columbus came in and was looking very closely at a piece of ceramics and turned around and accidentally knocked it off the shelf and broke it. And then turned to the student totally horrified and was just, terrified about this experience that had happened. Well, they shared phone numbers, and the adult person said, I'd like to find a way to make this up to you, and let's talk. Let's have coffee next time I'm in town. So a couple weeks later, they went out for coffee, and this student impressed him so much because the student said, I just want to make a difference in this community. I want to do outreach. I want to be connecting to schools. The problem is we don't have enough financial means to support this kind of activity. So this particular individual was so impressed by the student that he gave a significant gift to our brand new community engagement fund to support student grants for community engagement type projects. So I tell this story now because I want to remind everybody that you don't have to break something in order to make a donation, but also because if we can empower the students to make a difference, they want to. We don't have any students, I've never met a student here in Athens that doesn't want to make a difference in their community for the better. So when we build those opportunities and we connect to them in ways that make a difference, they want to be part of that. And I do want to really second the work. The College of the Fine Arts supports the Arts for Ohio grants. That is a really significant way that we can reach out to students. It supports free arts activities for every student in our community. So all the arts events that we do on campus are free for every student. I have never seen this at another university. So thinking about how do we build on that and use that as a tool to engage both students and our community is one of the things we can do going forward.
Question? Comment from anybody? Yes, Diane?
I have a question. I'll say so people can hear me. Thank you. So I contemplated staying home on my couch tonight because to be here, that's feels inspiring. And I want to thank you, Patty, for the experience that you provide with Honey for the Heart and that. And I remember one of the first years you did it and being able to just go drop in, and they're creating these puppets, and they said, well, here, you sew this. And I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't matter. You just jump in, and they found roles for everyone, and it was such a diverse community. So I love that model because it feels like we all can own it and be a part of it. So my question is, I wonder what more we can do for young people, for middle school age kids, and maybe younger in terms of arts and culture. So I think there's all these great things going on. I know, Nate, we're providing you with a little bit of money to do some dabbling around that, but I think our young people need some really positive art opportunities, and I wonder what we could create in the city for young people to really contribute.
Well, that's really interesting that you targeted that age group, because I think sometimes that middle school age or early high school age, they seem like they're almost underserved sometimes. And Arts West is located in proximity, very close to the middle school, and it seems as though that location is going to be a permanent location for the middle school, which I was very happy about. So we at Arts West going forward are very interested in developing programming specifically for that age group. I think during my presentation I talked about the Prism After School program, which is for that age group. But I think within the next few years are interested in doing a theater and music, possibly more after-school programming for that age group. And, I completely agree with your sentiments, and hopefully there is some expansion that can happen at this facility for that.
So one of my sincere hopes, in my previous job, I was in Princeton, New Jersey, and we had we got a grant through the Kennedy Center for the Any Given Child initiative for the city of Trenton, where we involved community partners, and we spent a year on strategic planning and doing a gap analysis to ensure that every child had a quality arts education during the school day. There isn't quite the equivalent for rural areas, although I'm going to talk to my friends at the Kennedy Center and see if I can't twist some arms into them thinking a little bit differently. But I recognize that one of the first things that I need to understand, and maybe we all need to understand, is where are the gaps in our community. So we undertook an exercise of expanding our own summer programming for this summer, and we looked very carefully at what everybody else was doing to try to stay out of the way of what other people were doing. Had a good conversation with OVST, for instance, in regards to our theater program and so forth. But I realized that this is really a big project, not just for Athens as a city, but for the county and for the region in general. I don't have a good sense, and I imagine most people don't, of what's missing. And if we could do a gap analysis, we could determine what holes need to be filled, and we could work together in partnership, all of these groups, to ensure that we're filling those gaps. For instance, I don't know what kind of filmmaking and media techniques are taught in the middle school, elementary school, or high school. I don't know where they get dance. I know that my second grader gets a student who comes every once in a while for dance, and I'm really glad about that, but that's something that we're actually funding. So I didn't fund it just for my second grader. But, so I don't really have a good sense of where those gaps are, and I'm hopeful that we can all come together and begin to do that kind of study so that we can fill those gaps with as much efficiency and quality as possible.
One of the things that we really are into at PassionWorks is that we don't silo groups of people. We invite everybody in, and so kids and their parents come, and the kids may be over there making stuff, and the parents are over here making stuff, but they don't have to drop and pick up. Because we really think that it's a connective moment to be able to experience it together. And so the Honey for the Heart is the same thing. We have seniors to very young, we're all in it together. And then the way that the artwork is facilitated is that there is something for everybody. And I think it's important for us to experience fun and have shared experience as a whole community. And the Dairy Barn does great. The Kennedy Museum is awesome. They have that beautiful space up there. They're doing amazing things at the Stewart's Opera House, the Hive in Nelsonville. And, because I believe in saying your dreams out loud, there is a big yellow truck that we want to get at $6,800. And we want to go out into the villages and be able to go and do arts programming through PassionWorks and the Hive and collaborate, be able to do our stuff and then come back in. And so I believe that when we share our ideas and our dreams and they connect with the right, we can make it happen. So that truck is in Nelsonville and it's awesome. That's what I was going to say that.
If I can add something. an elderly mother, and she's wheelchair bound. I try to get her out every weekend. And this is a chore, not because there's not a lot going on, but I have a great deal of difficulty finding out what's going on. And too often I hear 3 days after a great event that it happened. I sometimes worry that our problem in arts is not the richness of our offerings, but our ability to communicate them and publicize them.
I completely agree. I think that one of the great things about being an artist is the immediacy and the exuberance and just the burst of energy that often is associated with that. But I also treasure planning and being strategic and getting the word out. And those are two very separate things that are equally important when we're talking about community arts. So, and sometimes I feel like a freak, in the arts world. It's really hard to achieve that, to feel like a freak in the art world where I actually love strategic planning. So, I really have been thinking recently about how all the arts organizations need to combine forces more. Because I think that that's really where the key to our future as a strong arts town is going to come from. It's going to help us get the word out to not just the community, but also the rest of the state, the region, even the country, to let them know what we have going on. And I think that right now that there are a lot of things that are kind of falling into place. Like the puzzle pieces are there on the board, but we need to get together and put them together so we can see that full picture. At least that's kind of where what I'm feeling at the moment. Does anyone else have anything they wanted to say about that?
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this, but I'm going to. AMAC received word that the county received some kind of a grant that would allow for arts coordination. Am I allowed to talk about this? Okay, it's in the paper, it's public. And,
no county officials here, so.
Oh, perfect, all right. And this would allow for a full-time arts administrator to help coordinate arts initiatives and organizations within the county and create a comprehensive calendar of events as well.
And it's happening.
And it's actually happening.
Actually, I met with them this morning, and we are we've already made some tentative agreements to work together to help create that. We have a different way of leveraging resources because we have the university behind us. We are interviewing. We hired a center director in January. We're interviewing right now. We had our first candidate in this morning for an associate director of the center. We are really willing to support, help build whatever it takes. We've got an entire external affairs team. My external affairs director was here earlier today. We really want to support the activities that people are doing, and we're going to work together with the county and with the city in whatever capacity you'd like us to work with you. So let us know what we can do. We'd like to be just part of the conversation.
Since you're the Dean of the School of Fine Arts, let me say that the university is one of the worst offenders in this. I have an office in Porter Hall. If I come over to one of your buildings, there are great posters all over the walls. They never appear in Porter Hall. I never see them in the rest of the town.
No. I've experienced the same challenges. Thankfully, my wife is brilliant, and she has Facebook friended every organization in town, and so she gets sort of this calendar where she knows exactly what's happening, including that there's an Athens moms group that's extraordinary in telling you what's happening. But she can't get our events, which is the tremendous irony. So we are rebuilding our website over the summer. We've hired a firm to to really remake that and make sure our events are available in a way that's really clear. And I'm hopeful that that will ultimately be a platform that we can all take advantage of as we move forward.
Just to kind of funny on that, my grandfather is a retired professor at the School of Music, and he gets the calendars, you know, at the beginning of the year, and he writes everything in his little, what he calls his brain. And there are so many changes every single time, and he never knows them because they're not printed in the paper. He's not an online person. I only can give him as much information as he asks me. And I work at Mamad, and we're constantly confused by the calendar as well. So I'm just saying that not only do you need to focus on the online, but you also need to focus on those people who do not go online.
Absolutely, and that's, I think, where we need to figure out what is the appropriate print medium for us, and how do we connect with print media in an appropriate way. But I totally understand the challenges that you're talking about. The idea that we would move our calendaring for next year's events to this July just about killed all of my directors. We'll see how close we get to July, but normally we put out the fall calendar after the first 2 months of the fall. And I don't think that's a really great plan. So we're working on it, and I agree this is really critical for everybody.
We have time for only a few more questions. And sir, I think you had a question earlier, is that correct? It's been answered, okay. Yes, go ahead.
I'm an artist in the community, and recently I've had this question come up for myself with, are there resources here to help with marketing for artists? Like someplace where they can go and figure out like where they should be tapping in, or partnerships with university students who might want to get some sort of internship for helping a local artist with their website, their social media, things like that.
The Campus Involvement Center is fabulous. We have 4 work study who work at Arts West through them. I would say they typically place their students with nonprofits, but there might be a way to work with them even if you are just, a private artist.
And that's Campus Work Study?
It's the Campus Involvement Center.
Okay.
They're located in Baker Center, and the person you'd want to contact is Barbara Harrison, and she's wonderful. She's just really great to work with. But as far as marketing yourself, I think Athens is one of those. We're kind of stuck in time a little bit, which can be maddening, but it also can be very comforting, and it means that some of the more old-fashioned ways of getting yourself out there work still.
Yeah, but I think a lot of us, Athens is so big, so getting yourself out there in the larger community, getting tapped into resources in Columbus and Dayton,
right.
But being based here, we have to do that. Athens is only so big for making
right,
a living
right.
off of being an artist, and I'm just curious if there's something that's already going to help that, or even. Yeah.
Nothing that is really coming to my mind. Yeah.
At one point, we had people from the OAC come and do workshops here in this room on that very topic. And it was wonderful. So perhaps we could go back to that and see if we might be able to get people down to do workshops with the artists of how to sell your wares, your program.
And that's our gap right now that we're really struggling with, where we have 50 plus artists in our project every week in classes. We're producing exhibitions, but many of them are ready for kind of the next level of professional development and individually marketing their work, or collectively working on product development and marketing that, not just in Athens, but as you're mentioning, kind of externally, kind of exporting it to other markets. So we don't have the staff to support that initiative right now, but that's kind of our ambition, is to move in that direction. So, it's something we don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel or do it ourselves as an organization. We're really open to collaborating in any way with others.
And what is your organization again?
Athens Photo Project.
Okay.
The OAC is anxious to bring things to rural areas. They always respond to Athens. The OAC was a part of this building being purchased for the city to be built into what it is today as compared to the church it previously was. But they were with us every step of that process. And I think it's time to remind them that we need more help. Artists aren't the best people in the world at selling their
It depends on the artist. But that's a really good, I think, reminder from Carol that I think there's always going to be need for that type of education. And if that's the information I'm receiving right now, it's something I would personally be interested in setting up, because I do agree. I think we're at the stage where there are artists aplenty in the area, but now, they need to capitalize. They need to be helped with how they can support themselves and get the word out about what they're doing. So if that's something the OAC has done in the past, I think that might be something I'd like to look into again. And I don't think ACENET does not have any specific programs for artists at this moment, right?
I haven't heard of any.
I haven't either. Do they? Okay.
What? Do you know the name?
Leslie Schaller's a goddess. Yeah. And the thing about artists is that, we got our thing going, and then marketing is really different. And so, but I just came back from Iowa with Chris Shamil, Leslie Schaller, Paige, and the county planner, and David Kriesmeyer. And we did a whole workshop on arts and art placement and creative space making. So we won, for Athens won, out of 40 applications, 7 were invited to go to Iowa and do this whole big workshop. And when we workshopped it, one of the things that we said that wanted to come out of it, and it's in the Athens News now, is the construction of an arts council, an Athens County Arts Council. And so knowing what people need is important, and I think we kind of know what we need. We need to be able to have our voice out there without having to create an advertising agency within our own process in what we do. And we have each other. We have a lot of really experienced people. June Holly, I was sitting in one of the breakout sessions, and this woman was delivering information, and Shamil goes, June Holly. And our county was represented through all that workshop. June Holly lives in town. She's an incredible marketer and networker, and she's helped start ACENET. And we have Leslie. And we have, people who've been doing it for a while. I would love to get in a round table and talk about things. Like, the one thing I'll say to you, like, if you want to facilitate programming in the community, you never do arts programming. You do staff development. You do the same exact thing, but you understand somebody else's budget, line item. You learn what a line item is. You understand who has those kinds of things, who does that, and then you target those places to do what you want to do. You don't have to contort yourself into something else. That took me 15 years to figure out. And I don't want you to bust for 15 years trying to figure it out. I want to like share that. Staff development. There's money for that. I made a living doing that for years. So anytime you want to get a party together, we can sit around and talk about ideas.
Sounds like this is going to happen sometime. Right here.
Yes, sir.
What would you like to see reflected in the comprehensive plan that's being developed?
That was my question too, actually.
I think that, for me personally, I think we're kind of segueing into that right now. And I think that Athens is so unique. Like, there's no doubt about that. We have so many artists, but I think we need to pull those pieces together and get the word out to the rest of the state and the region. Like, we need to come together and essentially alert other people what we have down here. Because I think it's no secret that while there are many plus sides to living in Athens, we sometimes lack in resources monetarily. And I think that if more and more people knew about how special it is down here, they may want to invest. There may be more interest. I just think that that is something I would like to see in the comprehensive plan myself.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's building that identity. It's something, we talked about years ago, as you were mentioning with Bob Winters, right? And that was kind of part of his vision is, why aren't we considered, in Asheville, in terms of an identity for who's there, what they're doing, where we do have many artists, many grassroots art programs, and really, really strong relationships that are steady. I think what we're doing collectively really is blurring the lines in identity, is kind of, Patty, as you were mentioning earlier, where we've understood that there are these gaps and there's barriers to arts engagement. There's folks that aren't engaged in the arts, and we're going to do outreach to ensure that they kind of are invited, as you said, Patty. But the longer they're involved, right? I mean, there's that they don't have to, someone doesn't have to hold to the identity that they entered into with the arts. The arts really allow us to kind of reinvent our identity. And I think that's what's happening here in Athens, and that's kind of what puts us ahead of the curve culturally amongst some other communities that are engaged in the arts or arts outreach or university community relations, right? So I think for us to improve and move forward, we need to keep taking steps in that blurring of identity. And as we have students and interest in getting students to contra dance, we have to kind of look at, how can we look at students as not just students, right? But as community members, and I think we've moved really in that direction for years collectively. But I think that's where we can keep going, and eventually, the lines will be completely blurred, and it'll be, just a nice, I don't know, movement, yes. Because right now, even within our organization, folks that come to us engaged in the arts don't necessarily feel invited to other arts activities, even though, of course, there's posters there for them to come. So that's where I think, we still need to make effort as an organization to better integrate into the community.
I guess one of the questions I would ask is how do we articulate our desire for Athens to truly be a cultural hub? There really is no good reason that I can think of that people won't, when the bathtub empties in the summer, that we shouldn't be refilling it with people who are coming into the Hocking Hills and exploring our great natural treasures by drawing them into our Brew Week, and then all of our arts festivals. This new arts festival is very exciting. But if we start to think about how are we going to use the Armory, what kind of theater festivals can we have? What kind of galleries can we, pop-up galleries can we do? What can we do to really think about building a cultural hub here that will draw people in? And I think that's a pretty exciting opportunity.
I'm so glad you said the Armory, because I hate the Armory. It's just so ugly. It's not that I want to tear it down, but we have all this cultural energy going on downtown and on Court Street, and then you get to the end where you should have the exclamation point, and you have the Armory. And I just wonder, it feels like we're at a transitional time here in Athens where we have new hotels going up and new apartment buildings, and there's a lot of building and a lot of change happening. And the Armory and that end of Court Street could really be something that sort of brings everything together and is that thing that puts us on the map. And I know that the Armory is a black hole in terms of money and renovation, but it's also a big idea with a big opportunity if we would think about it in a creative way. It's ideally placed to be a real dynamic force for this town. And I wonder if anyone else thinks about it or hates it the way I hate it.
Well, I do think about it all the time, and I always wonder, as soon as I came down as an undergraduate to Athens, this is the only place I've lived as an adult. I'm from Toledo, came to Athens, that was it, fell in love, not leaving. But I always would wonder, what is this big I thought it looked like a castle, actually it looks to me, I don't know if anyone plays the original Super Mario, it looks like the castle that Mario would leap onto the flag and he'd go in. I'm sorry, I had to go there. But I think that it's not that outrageous an idea that become used for arts. Because if anyone's ever been to the Columbus Arts Center in Columbus, it is a former armory. And it was, refurbished using government money. And it is a very similar scale to our armory. I don't know, Carol, is it slightly bigger, maybe? It is bigger. Really? Okay. Well, Columbus is bigger.
But it is inspirational.
It is. It really is. I would encourage anybody who has the opportunity to go look at it, who is interested in our armory, the next time you're in Columbus, go look at the Columbus Arts Center, and you really can start thinking about what we could do here. Also, the Wexner Center apparently is partially part of a former armory. Unfortunately, they tore down quite a bit of it. If you have a chance to look at one of the photos of what it looked like before they tore it down, it was incredible. But still part of that complex in the Wexner Center is a former armory. So there is, a track record in the area, in our state, of reusing armories for arts purposes. So I don't think it's outrageous at all to think that we can get there and that we should.
Agreed. I could interject on that a little bit. We do have a study for the Armory that we completed a few years ago. We received a grant from the state. Leslie Schaller worked really closely with us to build that. It does have, it identifies art as being one of the primary anchors. If anybody's been in the building, there's a very large drill room, which is the size roughly of a regulation basketball court with very high ceilings. It lends itself to big, open, public gatherings of sorts. I think what we haven't got to is building the case as to, how exactly will that function, and some of the conversations we've already had this evening, and what Matthew just said about when the bathtub empties in this, in 2 weeks, and then how do we fill that bathtub back up for the next 3 months? Like, that's a really interesting thought. And one thing along with the Armory is also Mount Zion Baptist Church, which is 3 buildings down. And that is also another anchor that could be on the north end of Court Streets. And Cyrus talked about the Southeast Ohio History Center, which is also trying to build around very similar things, and they have space. And so one of the things we've been trying to be careful about at the city with the Armory is not cannibalizing some of these other things going on. Not trying to, we don't want to compete. We certainly don't want to compete with Stewart's Opera House and try to be booking, regional draws for music on Thursday nights like they, and cannibalizing what they do. But so what we'd like to do is probably what we need to do, and I think through this planning process and beyond, is continue having discussions with those types of organizations about how can we all work together, how can we form better partnerships, and try to figure this out. I think there's a math problem that we just haven't, we're not sure what the math problem is yet. We need to figure out the problem and then figure out how to solve it.
I think you're on the right track.
Yeah.
And the other day we were talking about the idea of a cultural arts and culture district. This is beginning to kind of form towards that end of Court Street already.
Yeah. I'm certainly hearing that from the 5 people on stage. Yeah.
That's great. Because the moving parts are here. but that's not visible to folks outside the region necessarily, or sometimes even within Athens. So I think by creating more of a hub, that could also help with, I'll project. So that could also help with that sense of identity, and feeling welcome. And if you're invited into one organization, you feel also that you're welcome in with all the organizations. So, yeah. Reaching for it. Yeah.
So we are above time, but does anybody have one last? Matthew, would you like to say one more thing?
I had a really lovely visit with the Greater Columbus Arts Council and the work that they've been doing to bring the arts together and to create themes and to create marketing around all of the different arts organizations. I know nothing's perfect, but a lot of the work that they're doing is really extraordinary, and I think there's some useful models out there that we could be thinking about as we move forward. Thanks so much for this opportunity, by the way. This was great.
Thank you. So yes, Ken, did you have something?
I was just going to briefly, and maybe I'll take the mic as well to thank you, everyone. I wanted to say thank you to Paulo for his work with the city and the comprehensive plan and acknowledging that the arts is vastly important. So I applaud, thank you, your efforts and everything. I've recently been made familiar with a term I hadn't really heard before. We've heard of food deserts, but I've also heard of a civic desert. And I think this is where the arts are lovely because it is an opportunity to connect with parts of the community and get engagement. And for that, again, I applaud everyone's efforts here. And I think we're moving in the right direction as a community. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we just need to work a little harder. Thank you, everyone.
There's no problem.
I have one final assignment for anybody who's still with us. If you haven't already, there's a piece of paper, or if you need one. Any thoughts, ideas, questions that you might have about what you've heard today, or concepts, ideas for the comprehensive plan that you might have around this theme, feel free to fill this out and leave it with me. It's also really important if you want updates on our comprehensive planning process. Please sign in. There's a sign-in clipboard back here, and give me your email address, and I can add you to our list. And I would like to thank the 5 panelists, or 6 panelists rather, but the 5 who are up here, as well as Cyrus, for spending their evening with us tonight. I know it's always a big ask to get anybody to come to a public meeting in the evening, so I want to thank each of you as well. There's a lot that everybody could have done this evening, and I really appreciate that you're willing to spend that time with us. This is really important work, and to what Kent said about thanking me, the reality is, when we did our visioning in late 2017, over and over and over again, people talked about the arts. And if it wasn't for the public outreach and the community coming to visiting sessions and working online and doing surveys, talking about how important the arts was to them, we would not have this meeting. My goal is to figure out what everybody wants to talk about in Athens, and then trying to get these conversations going and figuring out how to move it forward. It is your city, it's not my city. It's my city as well, but these decisions, we do need to make these things collectively, and it's meetings like this and ideas like this that will really help us to figure out how to keep advancing this city forward. So thank you for that. Have a great night. Thank you.